He said it is primary day here in Florida, and we are keeping a close eye on the polls and your local races.
We have team coverage from Palm Beach County all the way to the Treasure Coast, keeping a close eye on the major races. Our Jay O'Brien joining us in the studio with some of the tight matchups.
We'll get to each reporter throughout the newscast, but first we begin with CBS 12's Chuck Weber at the Palm Beach County Tabulation Center in Riviera Beach. Chuck?
Liz, right here at the Tabulation Center, take a look behind me here. You can see workers. They are busy. They are sorting through the latest mail-in ballots that have come in. Now, just a little while ago, Supervisor of Elections Wendy Link told us overall things are going pretty well. She said poll workers failing to show up was an issue again this morning. You may recall back in March, the municipal elections took place just as COVID was hitting our area, and some polling locations opened late or had to be moved because workers didn't come in. Well, now this time, Link said poll workers had been canceling the past couple weeks again, so she added training classes this past weekend and had about 200 special poll workers ready to respond where they were needed. And this morning, she said at least 100 of those so-called floaters were deployed from her 3 coastal offices.
We had people go to South County, this office, and to North County office, so that wherever we found out we were short, we would be able to get them there quickest.
Also new, and in response to coronavirus, poll workers reported extra early this morning for temperature checks, and they also answered a health screening questionnaire before the voters showed up. And Link said one of those poll workers actually had a temperature of just over 100, so they were asked not to work. Also, some of the people who called in and canceled at the last minute day of here, they reported feeling ill as well. Live at the Tabulation Center, Riviera Beach, Chuck Weber, CBS 12 News.
Congressman Brian Mast faces a Republican challenger in his primary and his bid for another term.
That's right. Just one of the races we're following tonight. CBS 12's Danielle Wall is live in Stuart now with a preview of that big race. Danielle?
Well, this district, the 18th district, does lean conservative, so the winner of tonight's Republican primary is expected to be the favorite this November.
As much as the cycle is different this time, people are still excited to be getting out there and doing this part of what we do every 4 years.
Congressman Brian Mast has been through several primaries in general elections, but never during a pandemic that forced campaign events online. Still, the Republican incumbent is expected to win his primary race tonight. His challenger, Nick Vescio, a former law enforcement officer who calls himself a constitutional conservative, running on gun rights and immigration reform. Vescio is further to the right than Representative Mast. Vescio's campaign did not respond to our request for comment. Congressman Mast goes into tonight's primary with key endorsements from clean water advocates like the Everglades Trust. He says his constituent services show he's earned another term.
Whenever somebody comes into my office, it doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat or they don't ever vote or whether they wear a donkey on their shirt or an elephant or it's red or blue or whatever. We help everybody regardless with everything that we can.
The winner of tonight's Republican primary will face either Democrat Pam Keith or Oz Vasquez. We'll have more on that race coming up at 6. Live in Stuart, Danielle Wass, CBS 12 News.
Danielle, thank you. Let's check in now with our Jay O'Brien with an update on our state races.
Yeah, Jay, polls close at 7 o'clock. Just how long after will we see those first results?
Jim, that's a great question. So we'll actually see a lot of results pretty early on. We get that vote by mail information, the stuff that's usually already counted, some of it at least before Election Day. That gets dumped around 7 o'clock at night. The reason I have this notepad is because we just got the latest numbers when it comes to how many people have voted by mail. And it's striking, particularly when you look at Democrats versus Republicans. 115,000 Democrats voted by mail in Palm Beach County so far. That's what's been counted. 37,000 Republicans did the same. So a big differential there, talking hundreds of thousands versus tens of thousands. Let's show you a race that we're watching tonight here in our data center. Let's scroll down a little bit, down to the 21st district. Congresswoman Lois Frankel's current district. She is in a primary fight of her own against a gentleman by the name of Guido Weiss. But these are the Republicans looking to challenge her. Christian Acosta, Elizabeth Felton, Laura Loomer, the favorite, Aaron and Scanlon, Reba Sherrill, and all the way down to Michael Velarde. Here's what we are watching tonight. We're going to see how this shakes out in terms of whoever is going to be on the Republican ticket come November. Here's why. When you look at all of these people here, guys, you have to remember that in 2018, and I'm going to write it on the board so you can see it, in 2018, guess how many people in the Republican side of the race ran to challenge Lois Frankel? Zero. That's right, zero. And there wasn't a Republican primary in 2016. So we're seeing something we haven't seen in the 21st district in years, a genuine Republican primary. One more thing we want to just alert you to that we're also watching tonight, another Republican primary just south of the 21st district, or in the 22nd district. Fran Flynn, Jessica Melton, James Pruden, Darlene Swaffer. We're going to watch that race play out as well. As you saw Danielle say, we've got some races to the north, even some races that are very interesting in Miami-Dade County in the further south. We're going to monitor all of that as the evening progresses, guys.
Thank you, Jay. Well, the race for Fort Pierce mayor is a heated one.
That's right. CBS 12's Denise Sawyer joining us live now with how the police department got dragged into it. Denise.
Now, that's correct. In a city that is riddled with crime, that's what some say. There are campaign signs promising to go after the bad guys scattered throughout the street. Now, there are 5 candidates in this race. Well-known city critic and outspoken restaurant owner Rick Reed. There's also real estate broker Donna Benton, educator James Mason, political newcomer Harold Albury, who's the youngest candidate in the race at just 27 years old. And then there's the mayor, Mayor Linda Hudson, who is seeking a 3rd term in office. Now, Hudson is the only one who is not calling for new leadership in the police department. Now, it's the everyday conduct of the police office that has become a central issue in this campaign after this video surfaced showing an officer in uniform punching a patient inside Lawnwood Medical Center. That officer resigned after being charged with battery and official misconduct. A second officer charged with falsifying a police report was fired. Today, catchy campaign signs promising to decrease crime here in Fort Pierce are hoping to catch the eye of Election Day voters.
I definitely think Fort Pierce needs to address the leadership throughout the city, the police department, City Hall. I think they need leadership at the top that can show them and help them to reduce the crime in the neighborhood and move Fort Pierce in a positive direction.
We're going to have to start with body cameras and make sure those body cameras are reviewed weekly. So with that being said, the officers will be kind of like on a month-to-month progress report.
Now, you just heard from 2 of the 5 candidates. Now, the candidate that has the majority of votes tonight, which is 50% plus 1 vote, that person, he or she, would win the seat. Now, if there's not a person with a majority, then the 2 candidates with the most votes will face off November 3rd. Live in Fort Pierce, I'm Denise Sawyer for CBS 12 News.
Thank you, Denise. A lot of people chose to vote by mail because of COVID concerns. As our Jay O'Brien mentioned, the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections says her office has received nearly 170,000 mail-in ballots. That's more than 3 times the number of mail-in ballots cast during the 2016 primary. We're seeing similar trends on the Treasure Coast. Well, it is day 2 of the Democratic National Convention. Tonight's program is expected to include remarks from 2 former presidents and some rising stars in the Democratic Party.
CBS 12's Thomas Forrester joining us now with a preview of tonight's events. Thomas?
Yeah, Jim and Liz, Democrats traditionally use night 2 to showcase only one of the party's rising stars. Tonight, they're switching it up with a convention keynote address that's expected to feature 17 different speakers. Now, one of them will be former Georgia gubernatorial candidate and voting rights activist Stacey Abrams. We're also expected to hear from Joe Biden's wife, Dr. Jill Biden. Now, Joe Biden feels his wife will play an extremely important role from now to November and beyond.
What Jill is best at helping me do is figure out who the people around me would be most compatible with me. She knows me, I think, better than I know me.
Now, Dr. Jill Biden previewed her speech this morning, tweeting that she will deliver it from the classroom where she used to teach. Now, also another change tonight. Instead of the convention's traditional roll call of states to officially nominate Joe Biden, this year it will happen virtually with a speaker from each state and territory. Jim?
And don't forget to stay with CBS 12 News for continuing coverage of tonight's primary. Of course, we'll be updating all the races throughout the evening. Also, we'll have real-time results at the bottom of the screen.
Coming up at 5:30, Indian River County is getting a new sheriff. A live report coming up on the big names running.
Rapid testing coming to West Palm Beach, how to qualify for the test and why it's not being given to just anyone.
And we are tracking some significant storms now moving through Indian River County. We'll time them out, when to expect them coming up.
And as we head into the break, here's a look at your Palm Beach County School Board races. A reminder that polls close at 7 p.m. We'll be right back.